werewolves, dog man, whatever you want to call this creature, has been talked about through history. In folklore, a werewolf, or occasionally the dog man, is an individual who can shape-shift into a wolf, or especially in modern film, a hybrid wolf-like creature, either purposely or after being placed under a curse or some other affliction, like a bite or a scratch from another werewolf, transforms that person into a werewolf, usually occurring on the night of a full moon. The werewolf is a widespread concept in European folklore, existed in many variants, which are related by common development of a Christian interpretation of underlying European folklore developed during the medieval period. From the early modern period, werewolf beliefs spread to the New World with colonialism. Belief in werewolves developed in parallel to the belief in witches during the late Middle Ages and the early modern period. Like the witchcraft trials as a whole, the trial of supposed werewolves emerged in what is now Switzerland, especially in certain areas in the early 15th century, and spread throughout Europe in the 16th, peaking in the 17th, and subsiding by the 18th century. Persecution of werewolves and the associated folklore is an integral part of the witch hunt phenomenon. Werewolf wolf trials, or witch trials combined with werewolf trials. During the early period, accusations of transforming into a wolf were mixed with accusations of wolf riding or wolf charming, where a person would cast a spell, causing a wolf attack. The use of these charms seems to have peaked during the 17th century, where they were offered by professional wolf charmers. This corresponds to the Cold Period, known as the Little Ice Age, for which there is ample historical evidence of wolf populations in much of the Bavarian Alps. Most modern fiction describes werewolves as vulnerable to silver weapons and highly resistant to other injuries. This feature appears in German folklore of the 19th century. The claim of the beast Gadden, an 18th century wolf or wolf-like creature, was shot by a silver bullet, appears to have been introduced by novelists retelling the story from 1935 onwards and not in earlier versions. English folklore prior to 1865 showed shapeshifters to be vulnerable to silver, till the publicans shot a silver button over their heads when they were instantly transformed into ill-favored old ladies. 1640, the city of Greifswald, Germany, was infested by werewolves. A clever lad had suggested that they gather all their silver buttons, goblets, belt buckles, and so forth, and melt them down into bullets for their muskets and pistols. This time they slaughtered the creatures, and they rid Greifswald of the humans transforming into wolves. Werewolves have the ability to take great damage, to heal very fast, at superhuman speed, and their strength is incredible. The ability to leap from building to building. The moon is a big part also of their transformation, as it's been depicted that the full moon is when they will turn into the wolf. If you want to become a werewolf, there are various methods. One of the simplest being the removal of clothing and putting on a belt made of wolf skin, probably as a substitute for the assumption of an entire animal's skin. In other cases, the body is rubbed with a magic lotion, drinking rainwater out of the footprint of the animal in question or from certain enchanted streams were also considered ways of accomplishing the metamorphosis. There are also those who say that if you would take a cup of specially prepared beer and repeating a set formula that you could also transform yourself. It's also believed that a man or a woman could turn into a werewolf if he or she on a certain Wednesday or Friday slept outside on a summer night with the full moon shining directly on his or her face. Then there's others who believe it could be accomplished with all different kinds of chants and certain sorcerers who, having anointed their bodies with an ointment which they make by the instinct of the demons, and then wearing an enchanted robe, they feel that they are actually wolves, but to their own thinking have both the shape also and the nature of the wolf. So as long as they wear the robe, they do dispose themselves as the wolf. The curse of lycanthropy. Lycanthropy is a rare psychiatric disorder where an individual develops a misconception that he or she has transformed into an animal. The mythical ability, of course, is to transform into a werewolf. So many at the time, through the years, have said that it is a divine punishment, the transformation into the werewolf creature. Werewolf literature shows many examples of God or saints allegedly cursing those who invoke their wrath with lycanthropy. Such is the case of Lycaon, who was turned into a wolf by Zeus as punishment for slaughtering one of his own sons and serving his remains to the gods as a dinner. Those who were excommunicated by the Roman Church were also said to become werewolves. The power of transforming others into wild beasts was attributed not only to sorcerers, but to Christian saints as well. All angels, good and bad, have the power of transmuting our bodies. There are those who have said to have transformed a Welsh king into a wolf. Some have been cured after they were transformed into the wolves. Those in Russia, again, men supposedly became werewolves when incurring the wrath of the devil. A notable exception to the association of lycanthropy, the devil, comes from a rare and lesser-known account of an 80-year-old man named Theseus. In 1692, he testified under oath that he and other werewolves were the hounds of God. He claimed they were warriors who descended into hell to battle witches and demons. Their efforts ensured that the devil and his minions did not carry off the grain from local failed crops down to hell. Theseus was ultimately sentenced to 10 lashes for his superstitious belief. To cure yourself from being the werewolf, there are various methods that have existed for removing the werewolf form. The ancient Greeks and Romans believed in the power of exhaustion in curing people. The victim would be subjected to long periods of physical activity in the hope of being purged of this affliction. This practice stemmed from the fact that many alleged werewolves would be left feeling weak after committing these acts against fellow humans. In medieval Europe, traditionally, there are 3 methods one can use to cure the victim. Medicinally, via the use of wolf's bane, surgically, or by exorcism. Many of the cures advocated by medieval medical practitioners proved fatal to the patients. A Sicilian belief of Arabic origin holds that a werewolf can be cured by striking it on its forehead with a knife. Another belief from the same culture involves the piercing of the werewolf's hands with nails. Sometimes less extreme methods were used. In Germany, a werewolf could be cured if one were to simply address it 3 times by its Christian name. One Danish belief holds that merely scolding a werewolf were cured. Conversion to Christianity was a common method of removing the metamorphosis of the creature in the medieval period. A devotion to St. Hubert has been cited as both a cure and for protection, becoming a werewolf. The first werewolf movie was the 1913 silent short film The Werewolf, directed by Henry McRae. The film is about a Navajo woman who turns into a timberwolf after her daughter is taught to hate white men and seek revenge. However, the werewolf is thought to have been lost in a fire in 1924. The first mainstream werewolf movie was Werewolf of London, released in 1935 by Universal Studios. It was the first to feature anthropomorphic werewolves and to present the idea that the full moon plays a role in the transformation process. Henry Hull played the werewolf in Werewolf of London. And when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes, the 25 essential werewolf movies to watch right now, we have Wolfen 1981, The Werewolf of London 1935, Wolf 1994, starring Jack Nicholson, Wolf Cop 2 2016, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman 1943, The Curse of the Werewolf 1961, Silver Bullet 1985, Teen Wolf 1985, Van Helsing 2004, The Twilight Saga New Moon 2009, starring Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. The Wolf of Snow Hollow 2020, Werewolves Within 2021, Underworld 2003, Ginger Snaps 2, Unleashed 2004, The Howling 1981, Dog Soldiers 2002, The Company of Wolves 1985, Ginger Snaps 2000, An American Werewolf in London 1981, The Wolfman 1941, starring Lon Chaney Jr. There's even a recent 2024 movie called Werewolves that was released December 6, 2024 in the United States. And the possibility of these creatures actually existing is very true, especially on a night of a supermoon. You never can tell. And until next time, keep looking for those unknown monsters.